This is Total Retail Tech Insights.
The content retail executives need to optimize their use of technology throughout their organizations.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of Total Retail Tech Insights. I'm Joe Keenan, Editor-in-Chief of Total Retail. I am joined on today's episode by Vikas Aron, the Vice President of Omnichannel Solutions at Radial, as well as Dave Roessler, Director of Payment Operations at Radial. Thanks for joining me today, Vikas and Dave.
Hi, Joe.
Hey, Joe. It's fantastic to be with you.
So to get us started on today's show, why don't the two of you tell us a little bit, our audience, a little bit about Radial, including the solutions it provides from the order to the payment to streamline the process for retailers while also providing a seamless customer experience.
Hey, Joe, this is Vikas here. Maybe I'll get started and Dave will, I'm sure, add to it. But, I'm glad that you're starting with this question because it's frankly a key part of why I joined Radial, which is almost 6 months now, on what Radial does and why it really excited me to be here. So Radial, for folks who don't know, is really at the center of all things what we call order operations, which is managing all aspects of a customer order, be it from the time it's actually created to the time it's fulfilled, returned, or serviced, right? So we manage this entire order life cycle end to end, and we've got solutions and services during the course of that order life cycle that our customers leverage us for. Specifically, our fulfillment operations, which is we've got within the United States now 26 distribution centers, fulfillment centers that we use to, for lack of better words, kind of pick, pack, and ship our customer orders. We have our transportation and return solution where we actually have the orders delivered to our clients from our fulfillment centers or from retail stores. Our customer care business is really used to cultivate, engage, and serve our customers. We have a marketplace and drop shipment business where we're really helping our clients establish connection between retailers and brands and suppliers. So it's if a customer wants to use our offering to drop ship an order from 15,000 odd suppliers that we have on our platform, they would use our technology. And then, of course, our payments and fraud side of the business, which I'm sure Dave will be more than happy to expand upon. Dave?
Thanks, Vikas. Yeah, Dave Roessler, Payment Operations. So in addition to what Vikas added in specific to payments, we offer multiple payment types, wallets, alternative payment methods, APMs, and these can be driven from both Radial or our customer based on client business decisions or even through Radial's proactive consulting. We keep our eyes and ears open in what's going on in the payment world. So we're always up to speed on the latest and greatest methods to pay. Adding to that, additionally, after the payment, Radial manages chargebacks and fraud prevention, and as well as that, we provide a financial reconciliation service, which ties all your orders to all your payments. We're able to wrap that all up and put a bow on it and hand it over to our clients. Services like these, if you're trying to incorporate them in-house, can usually require multiple teams for each. So Radial being able to offer that managed service really helps us to provide that streamlined process to our clients.
Yeah, thank you, both Dave and Vikas. It provides a really good overview and some context for our audience in terms of Radial's different services and solutions that it offers. I want to follow up with a specific question about order management and Radial's order management system. Can you tell us a little bit about what is unique to Radial's order management system, Vikas?
So Joe, before I answer that question, if I may just extend on the previous question that you had, because I think it'll actually lean into to your current question, I talked about the different business solutions that we offer to the market. Drop shipment, fulfillment, delivery returns, customer care, and payments and fraud protection. Our omnichannel technology is at the center of it all. Everything is connected through the omnichannel technology that we provide today. And that combination is where we are really very well positioned in terms of delivering customer choice, customer convenience, and customer care on the back of our operations and technology infrastructure. So that's how we really come together. And when I talk about omnichannel technology, specifically to your other question about what's unique about Radial Order Management System, the core of that omnichannel technology is our order management system. Now, I don't know if you know of my background, but I have been in the order management space for the last 20 years. Now, before Radial, I was with a company called Aptos, where I was head of product for all the commerce applications that included point of sale, order management, e-commerce, there's payments and sales audit. Before Aptos, I was with a company called Manhattan Associates for 10 years, where I saw the order management application shape up from the very, very beginning. So I've seen some OMS systems during my career. I think the three things that really stand Radial out is, number one, Radial's credibility. Our difference starts with our focus on, like I said, our customer order operations. Radial is the only company that practices what it preaches. We have built our OMS technology with decades of operational experience in fulfillment, customer service, payments. To put it maybe a different way, we are the only company that has technology users on its payroll, right? We use what we sell. Our entire business is dependent on the reliability of our OMS application. If the orders don't flow into the warehouse at the right time, we cannot afford that, unlike a technology vendor who just sells technology and let others manage the operation side of it.
Yeah.
So no other vendor to me can provide that level of credibility. We are real, as they say, right? So that to me is number one factor, number one difference as I would put for Radial's OMS system. The second is the solution breadth and depth. We are known for our fulfillment business, but we were pioneers in store fulfillment and dropshipment technology. Our largest client has 3,000 plus stores that we fulfill from. We've got 15,000 drop shippers on our network. Our payment and fraud application, as Dave would talk about, is better than any in the market. Our customer service technology supports complex user requirements. Our best kept secret actually is our analytics and reporting platform. That's a goldmine of real world data and insights. So the solution breadth and depth is the second difference, I would say. And the third, but the most important, is the fantastic team. I have been impressed with the team that we have at Radial, the experience that we have. And I think to that, extent, like Radial is one of the best positioned to be able to offer this kind of technology and operations. It's a long answer, but that's really why I'm so bullish about Radial. That's the reason why I joined Radial. And I think that's what I would say is unique about Radial's order management and broader omnichannel technology.
Yeah, and you gave a great insight a little bit into your expertise in this area and your career with some background information. So obviously, particularly well suited to answer such a question and talk a little bit about what's unique about Radial's OMS versus some others that are out there in the marketplace. Which leads me into a follow-up question, and this one for you, Dave, in terms of, I'm going to ask the same of you, except in your specific area of expertise, payments. Talk a little bit about Radial's payment solution and what's unique about that.
Sure. So where I would start is taking a look at how Radial's classified within the payment space. And we're designated by the brands as a payment facilitator. This allows us to do more than what a traditional acquirer can generally provide. And so with a typical acquirer, you'll have your fraud offering with a list of rules, how things can be managed, and each transaction can be treated based on these rules, where at Radial with fraud, we have a team that can customize pre-auth. We can do manual reviews if needed. And we take a look at the data constantly throughout the day, the week, the month. And we report back to our clients, making updates with them and really managing that fraud solution to where we will fully indemnify them from fraud. And really that just showcases the amount of trust and experience we have and on the fraud side of things. Again, being a payment facilitator in the payment space, payment facilitators generally classified as technology partners here. And the nice thing about that is that we can quickly enable products or services as needed. There are a million shows out there, and there are plenty of shiny objects at these shows. And our clients are going to them, and they're interested in how they can increase conversions, how they can retain their customers, and just all in all, grow their business. Radial has the ability to integrate and incorporate these new ideas, these new technologies, as soon as they're launched, if a customer of ours decides that they want to go forward with them. And I think that's really what makes us unique in the payment space and the fraud space versus your traditional large acquirers out there that just really have a box set of solutions, which doesn't mean that they're necessarily bad. It's the ability that Radial has to be flexible and to quickly assemble teams to enable the new technology that's coming out.
So looking at this more from a holistic perspective, and we talk about omnichannel technology and systems really being able to need to be, and you just mentioned it, Dave, integrated together to provide that seamless experience across all these different touch points the customer is having with a retailer or a brand. Leads into this next question in terms of, you've each talked in-depthly about, the OMS at Radial, also your payment solutions. I'm interested then about how these systems work together to provide that omni-channel seamless experience that really is the end goal for so many.
So this is Dave. I would defer to Vikas, given that our order management system fulfillment is really the gold standard. Payments plays an important, vital role there. So again, Vikas, I would lean on you with this one.
Yeah, no, thanks, Dave. I would actually, again, just start with the previous question, which is you asked about what's unique about Radial's payment solution. And your next question was, how do they work together? I would say what's unique about Radial's payment solution is its ability to work in conjunction with our omnichannel technology platform. That's unique, and that's very hard thing to do, especially given everything that's happening in the payments landscape out there. So that's also a unique proposition. I wanted to kind of emphasize that. How do they work together? Like I said, we manage all aspects of a customer order. And trust me, there's just a lot that goes through before that order shows up to the customer store. And there's more and more and more happening in terms of making sure that the order is delivered on time to the right place. I mean, we don't see all the exceptions that could happen to an order depending on the order that the customer has placed. Somebody needs to manage those exceptions. Somebody needs to manage those workflows, those alternate routes that an order can take before it actually makes its way into customer's hand. And payment is such an integral part of that. From the time it's just putting a hold on the card, authorized, to the time it's shipped, wherein we need to capture against that authorization. What if there are multiple shipments? How do you do that capture? How do you capture multiple times? What if the order is delayed and the auth is no longer valid? How do you re-auth an order so that you're not shipping an order without having the knowledge and the confidence that you'll be able to capture against that? What if you're doing use cases such as generally called ship to store, wherein you place an order, the order is shipped from a warehouse on another store to a different store for pickup. When do you actually charge the customer? should it be charged as soon as the order is shipped from the warehouse, or should it be actually charged and funds collected after the customer has picked up? Different clients have different needs, and order management needs to work to manage all those different nuances of payment as the order moves through its life cycle. With the blend of stores and e-commerce, wherein the simple act of picking up an order, what if a customer wants to add another line item to an order at the time of pickup? Now, should the payment be a store payment or should it be an online payment? In the payment world, we use this card present and card not present terminology, the different processors. Should it be a card present transaction or card not present transaction? There's a lot that goes into the simple act of paying for an order on the side of a brand or a retailer, that frankly, if order management and payment solutions don't work really closely with each other, you'll always have these gaps wherein it'll become harder and harder for you to manage.
So one of the things that we're seeing more and more of is that retailers are offering various payment options. Dave, you touched on this, APMs, such as buy now, pay later. Leads into my question in terms of what are you hearing in terms of the biggest pain points that retailers are having right now, and how can Radial potentially help address some of those challenges?
Yep. So to start, I don't know if it's necessarily a pain point with payments really, but maybe more so a pain point in understanding our customers. So the question, who shops at my store? And if you think about this, in the absence of a loyalty program, maybe, how are you determining this? I know there's probably some stereotypical assumptions about who's walking into each of these retailers out there, but it's the data that is really going to start to tell you who your customer base is. For example, you could tie in high Amex use at your store, meaning higher than norm, with a more affluent shopper. Amex shoppers tend to spend 20% more on an order than traditional shoppers, and sometimes they're tied to older adults. While we may be able to determine that from higher debit card use, it could be attributable to younger shoppers because what we're seeing out there is they have an aversion to debt. The Card Act is almost over 10 years old now. It made it more difficult to get credit before you were 21. So it takes credit to get credit, right? So where the buy now, pay laters come in, your Klarnas, your Afterpays, PayPals, you can start doing these installment payments when you're 18 years old. MasterCard just, recently I saw an article within the last couple of days that they're jumping into what their branding is installments. So what really also starts when you're 18 is habits and getting accustomed to the way we pay for our goods and services as on our own as young adults. So I think that the pain point really is the data that helps you make a very educated business decision on what is right for your customer.
Then looking at order management and kind of how that might connect with buy now, pay later solutions. Tell us a little bit about the intricacies there, Vikas, and the role that Radial can help play in helping to, again, solve some of those potential challenges that might be out there.
Yeah, I mean, Dave frankly captured this really well in terms of, why it's really gaining in traction. I always, when it first came about, like everybody now talk about buy now, pay later, but a few years back when it was still relatively new, I used to ask a question to my team and my clients, like, haven't you been doing layaways all your, forever? Is this any different than layaways? And in some extent, it is just an online version of layaways. But to Dave's point, just the amount of the way you actually bring in now a newer customer demographics, which you probably wouldn't have been able to do through the traditional kind of financial models that we have is just amazing how this has really picked up. When it comes to order management systems and how they interact, like I said, the payment processing is what it is. So whether it's buy now, pay later, whether it's Apple Pay, Google Pay, whether it's credit, debit card processing, and so forth, fundamentals have not changed. But because of the way it happens, because there is another party, if you will, has been involved, because it's payment in installments, if you will, it gets a little bit more complicated when it comes to returns and credits and so forth. So this is where we have to work with really individual buy now, pay later provider in terms of how they want to go about managing this complications with credits and refunds and exchanges. But otherwise, it tends to behave as just another payment processing method.
And to your point earlier, Dave, this is, and because I think you reiterated it, that, many that are using these types of payment solutions tend to be a younger customer that hasn't necessarily gained access to credit. Do you foresee more and more consumers, particularly older demographics, adopting solutions such as buy now, pay later at a greater rate?
So this is Dave. I think it has to first come with, obviously, with adoption, right? So I even think about myself, early 40s. I typically want to use a rewards card. I want my points, and I pay it off every month. And so my aversion to debt is probably no different than a younger person's. But again, I think it really relates to what you start out with. So again, as credit card companies are less likely, because of some regulation, to offer credit cards to younger people. Just keep in mind that 20 years ago, you could easily get a credit card on a college campus where they would set up shop. Whereas today, that's not as seen as much, if at all, anymore. Whereas Klarna's, your Afterpays, Affirms, you're ready to go at age 18, and you get into these habits. It's easy, it's user friendly. So that's where I think the younger generation is grabbing on, to where older generation, I mean, you'll have some of those that are technically savvy, that want to give things a shot, but I think that they're comfortable with some of their behaviors now. That's not to say that these payment methods wouldn't be applicable to them. I just don't think you're going to see as high of an adoption as you would with a younger generation.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Which leads into a perfect final question I have for you, Vikas, and Dave as well. In terms of, we've talked about kind of the connection between payments and order management. I'm interested if there's anything that you would, a common misconception about, how order management systems operate with payment processing. Thoughts there of what you've heard from your experiences?
Yeah, I'll go first. This is Vikas here. Well, the most common misconception is that the order management systems do not have to work with or operate with payment processing engines. It's again, what Omnichannel as a methodology has brought to forefront is how disconnected we still are in a lot of ways. So there is still, probably an, audience that would say order management system do not have to work with payment processing. Why? Because payment processing is an e-commerce system's job, or payment processing is a point of sale system's job, because you are physically there in the store, and that point of sale system needs to be connected to the payment terminal, to the eventual payment processor. So the systems that are actually creating the transaction or creating the order are the ones that need to work with payment processors, not the quote unquote backend systems like an order management system. But the fact is, because of Omnichannel, because of use cases like buy online, pick up in store, those traditional silos have to go away. We're still operating in this world of card not present versus card present as an example. And unless those silos go away, order management like systems manage those intricacies of putting things together, if you will. And hence, it's very important that your OMS application is working very closely with payment engines so that you're not still dealing in the silos of e-commerce versus point of sale versus customer service.
Yeah, I would add, this is Dave. I totally agree with Vikas. The beauty of Radial's offering is that it can and is built by components. So we definitely have a full offering, and we can offer that to our clients on a single piece of paper versus a multitude of vendors and contracts. But by actively listening to our prospects and even our current customers, we can responsibly sell to them and help them make determinations regarding best fit for their business.
Well, I think the two of you, Dave and Vikas, have done a really nice job of outlining Radial's solutions, particularly in the order management and payment space. My final quote or question rather would be, if our audience wants to learn a little bit more, how can they learn more about Radial and its solutions?
Well, obviously you can start with the website, but frankly, we would just love to talk to you. We want to learn, we want to solve difficult problems. So reach out to us, anybody at Radial, or go to our website to contact us. We would love to just chat.
Would agree. www.radial.com. Couldn't agree more with Vikas. We have a passionate team that, like he said, we love to solve complex problems and challenges that potential customers and clients face.
Great. Well, I want to take this opportunity to thank Vikas Aron, Vice President, Omnichannel Solutions at Radial, as well as Dave Roessler, Director of Payment Operations at Radial, for joining us on today's episode of Total Retail Tech Insights. Thank you, Dave, and thank you, Vikas.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. It was fun. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please check out our podcast channel page at mytotalretail.com/podcast for show notes. Tech Insights is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review this podcast. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Total Retail Tech Insights.